Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. Today, we're going to be talking about how to onboard the right people quickly and eliminate costly fees from recruiters. Okay, my name is Nigel Warburg. I'm the founder of the Exact Agency. Welcome to this very exciting webinar. How many of you, by a show of hands, have been able to fill all of your open positions quickly with the most skilled and talented people in your industry from job boards? Just go ahead and raise your hand, a little show of hands. There's a little hand button on there. So I think what we're all saying is that we could all use a more effective way to source quality talent. So today's webinar will basically be diving into what some of the fastest growing organizations are doing to find the most talented people in their industry and avoiding large recruiter fees and eliminating long ramp-up times. Let's go ahead and get started. If I can get my screens to work here. This is me and my family, so you can see why I work so hard. Now, as you guys are aware from some of the information you've been receiving from our company, we develop a system to help companies with the dreaded task of recruiting the very best talent from their competitors. And I would like to tell you about our new, exciting, successful candidate getting program. However, in order for me to do the best job I possibly can for you guys, I need to kind of go over some of the challenges and ask some questions. Is that all right? Okay, great. In today's market, there's some very real challenges for finding the most talented and skilled candidates. From our experience, successful people just aren't looking for work. Let me give you an example. When layoffs occur, who are the first people to go? Your A people or your B people? So the job boards are flooded with B people. What's been you guys' experience in that? One of the things that we see every day is that we have to constantly try and figure out why they're on a job board. Was it just luck of the draw, or are they really there because they just really aren't the perfect candidate for us? There's a big difference between a genuine A player and a B player who interviews well. We've all spent time interviewing, calling references, checking qualifications, and doing background checks, only to find out the hard way later that they're not performing as hoped. Have you ever noticed that the most successful companies in the world continue to recruit top talent from their competitors because they have found it's much more productive and cheaper to hire successful industry people who already have a proven track record of success versus taking a chance and wondering why they aren't working or wanting to leave? What's been your experience in figuring out why people are on job boards? It's been my experience that if you want to increase profits and eliminate long ramp-up times, it's much more effective to hire a trained pilot who already has a proven track record for flying planes and consistently landing them, successfully, and then to train a new person to fly a plane. Most of us are probably not in the business of flying planes, but I think this analogy can make a lot of sense. Who would you prefer, a brand new pilot in training or an experienced veteran flying for the competition? I think we'd all go for the latter. When you lose an employee, you lose more than just the person. You lose their knowledge, their skills, their productivity, and contacts. And in some cases, you lose sales for employees who take their customers with them. It's been our experience that most recruiters do a great job of finding candidates for your positions, but they spend most of their time using job boards, LinkedIn, to do it. As we all know, the most successful working people in your industry don't have time to hear from another pitch from a recruiter. Most recruiters have gotten lazy and realized it's much easier to just spend time role-playing with the interview questions and answers with unqualified candidates than it is to find the perfect one that actually fits the profile. What's been you guys' experience in that area? It's been my experience that recruiters nowadays, it's not that they don't know how to do it, it's just they've gotten lazy because it is time consuming and it's much more harder to break through the noise that it takes, because most successful people get 3 to 4 calls a week from recruiters and they just don't have time to take those calls anymore. Wouldn't you agree that the most successful people in your industry are primarily not going to be found on job boards? And would you also agree that interviewing people who are already out of work are probably going to be filled with time-consuming interviews, background checks, time-consuming training, only to be disappointed with their performance later down the road? You need to increase the company's bottom line profits without the cost of using job boards and paying expensive recruiter fees. How much information do you have about our firm? Most of you have some. I've talked to a lot of you before. Let me quickly cover a few things that I would want to know if I was in you guys' shoes. Our clients run the gamut from a mom-pop startup operation to some of the most prestigious companies in the world, such as Mercedes-Benz, FedEx, HP, Bank of the West, John Hancock, and many others. Our company, the Centric Group, is part of the Direct Marketing Association and the American Marketing Association. And we've won over 100 Creative Trade Awards and over 30 agency awards, so you can say we're specialists in the creative marketing arena. Our organization has over 60 locations nationwide. We cover all 50 states, including Hawaii. Let me just give you an example of what we actually did for one of our clients. We were able to quickly and accurately assess the right candidates even before interviewing them and gave them a precise breakdown of their behavioral DNA that wasn't skewed by a glowing reference or a quick interview. We were also able to give them who the exact candidate was to hire out of the 3 or 4 they were considering. Now, how could a process like that help you with your next candidate search? As you know, managing an organization, recruiting efforts, is one of the toughest jobs there is. Now, one of our clients had multiple locations and a lot of executive level positions to fill all the time because the organization was constantly growing. So the challenge was that our client was using job boards for lower level positions and high paid recruiters for the higher level stuff because the internal team just struggled to get the bigger executive level spots filled. And they really felt that the recruiters weren't really reaching the very best candidates they knew they could, and the company needed a way to have their internal teams fill those top spots and meet their goals and objectives. So we were able to create an easy-to-follow process that allowed the internal team to target the most successful people who weren't on job boards to call them or email them for an interview without having to make awkward phone calls to people at work. I think we've all done that if you've done recruiting. It's awkward to call someone at work and ask them if they're interested in a position. We made their job fun, and we got 100% of them in from the very best candidates that they handpicked each week at a 42% interview ratio. That's roughly 9 out of every 20 qualified candidates that we targeted. The internal hiring manager's job became easier because the manager was no longer wasting her time with unqualified people or trying to obtain insights into how well a candidate fits an exact role and trying to see through smoke screens early in the interview and references. So she now spent her time matching the culture of the company was building by being able to look at an extensive list of each candidate's strengths and constraints that could hinder their performance, and then pinpoint key motivators and demotivators of each candidate she sat down with. All any good hiring manager wants is a full pipeline of the right people to interview. Now, how could that kind of result impact you guys' bottom line? And then just so you know, I will be open up for questions and answers once we get to the end here. So just go ahead and keep those to yourself, and then at the end I'm going to open up for questions and answers. Recruiting is finding successful people in an industry people to interview, and being able to see through smoke signals and be able to identify the right candidate and onboard them quickly. There has to be a better way, and there is. Introducing the better way. This is our candidate relationship model. As you can see from the model, the very first step is that we get a list of the exact people that you want to recruit based on your criterias and allow you to handpick from the size of the company, a list of competitors, or a list of titles that you're interested in recruiting from. We then verify the decision makers or the candidates' information, that we have their correct name, title, address, email, and any other information that may be important to you. Once that information has been verified on the phone by our verification team, they initiate the first contact, which is an email. We call it a tease email simply because we are alerting them to the fact that we're sending them something in the mail. Now the prospect receives a direct mail package number 1 in the mail, which is the second contact. And this is basically a snapshot. This may not be the one that we developed for you, but this gives you an idea. So what you've got right here is you've got the little trash can with their name printed right on it. You also have an envelope with their name handwritten on it with the offer letter. So what would you think if you received a box in the mail as a candidate and your name was personally written on it? Think about that for a minute. It's always fun to receive surprises in the mail. The third contact is another follow-up email. The fourth contact is a message through Facebook or LinkedIn. The fifth contact is a direct mail package number 2. And this is typically, so what we do on the stopwatch, we actually print their name right on the stopwatch as well. So this would be our second contact. Second direct mail package, sorry. And the sixth contact is a follow-up email. And the seventh contact is the first live contact that the hiring manager makes. By now, we have created a top-of-mind awareness that this hiring manager is different. At this step, we average a 42% interview ratio. That's almost 9 out of every 20 candidates that we go after. Now, as you can see from the model, what we have done is systematized and automated the recruiting activities. Now, how do you think that automating these activities could help you and you guys as teams? Here's another quick case study. The company targeted 20 of the right people who were perfect for the job that were already employed. By recruiting this way, we onboarded better talent, filled our positions faster, and eliminating costly fees from recruiters. Now, how could that kind of result impact you guys' bottom line? Our team, with over a century of marketing knowledge and success, has produced this imaginative campaign along with all the copy for all the letters, emails, and multi-stage marketing and phone scripts. You don't sign off until you're happy with the final product. You don't have to inventory any product, pack, ship, remember to follow up. Our custom programs are integrated and automated. Everything is done for you. You also get 24/7 monitoring and management in real time from any computer via the internet anywhere in the world. Complete control, crank it up, slow it down, or stop it. It's up to you always. And this is via our cloud-based recruiting system. Hang on, there's still more important features still ahead. Double-digit results. Our campaigns generate double-digit face-to-face interview response rates, an average of 42%. That's almost 9 out of every 20 candidates that we target. So you give us a list of 20 people, or we go get you a list of 20 people that fit your criteria in your local market. We bring back the names, the people who are successful in your area, and then out of those 20 people that we find, we get you 9 sit-down interviews. Consistently securing face-to-face interviews without using job boards or recruiters. Now imagine your business potential if you had continual face-to-face interviews calling you with the perfect candidates. So most of the time the interviewees basically call a number that we give you for the interview, or they email you on the third step. And what if you could quickly and accurately assess candidates even before you interview them? What do you think would happen if you had a precise breakdown of their behavioral, not their personality, but their behavioral DNA that wasn't skewed by a glowing reference or a quick interview? A completely automated, predictable method to fill your open positions with the right candidates. Picture being ahead of your goals and objectives for 2015 and beyond, and having the right people on board to do the work. From start to finish, we developed this creative and fun campaign that's going to allow you to successfully onboard the right candidates and achieve your recruiting objectives. How valuable would this program be to your company if you could onboard the right people at the right time without paying a 20% recruiter fee? Now, what questions do you guys have? Go ahead and just type in the box if you have any questions. I'll go ahead and just open up for some questions and answers before we wrap up. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I've got one. Great question. One of the questions I always get asked is we don't want to be perceived as a poacher. Okay, we have sort of a good brand recognition in the area, and we don't want our competitors knowing that we are out, obviously, actively recruiting their people. One of the layers that we have is that we give you a private local phone number for people to call into once they've raised their hand and said, yes, I'd like to come in for an interview. But we keep you 100% transparent if you want to be left completely out of that aspect. So that way, if for whatever reason someone got their hands on that, they would never know who you were. So we set up a Gmail email address, and we also set up a private phone number. So you only get the good inquiries. You don't get any of the bad that comes from it. Okay, I got another question here. Is the fee contingent to successful? Great question. Basically, what we do is we work with you every week with one of our consultants, works with your team. We go source the data. You give us ideas of who you want, and then every week we go get you the data and we bring it back to your team to look at, and then from there. So basically, you're pretty much guaranteed, and we could put something. Everyone's got a different situation, but you're 100% going to get the right people to the interview. And we can deal through that. Who provides the 20 candidates to be interviewed, your company or my company? I believe you stated my company provides. Yes, you can either give us lists or you can give us company names in the area that you want to, and then we'll come back to you with the names of people who are in those positions. So, for example, if you said, hey, I'm looking for an SEO strategist, and here's 3 or 4 companies that I know, we'll not only go give you those companies, but we'll go give you companies in your sort of space that have a full-time SEO strategist available. That's just one example, but we go do the verification, we go get the list, and then we bring it to you, and then you tell us, hey, these 5 would be perfect for this position, these 3 would be good for this. And so every week we meet with your team, and we go over the results of each open slot that you have. How do you determine the behavioral DNA? This is a step candidates take before the interview. Yes, we basically run them through a profile. Once we get down to the 3, we obviously get down to 3 or 4 candidates, and then we run them through the behavioral DNA. So as we are recruiting, we don't do everyone. We only do it to the 3 or 4 that you like. So if we're down to like 3 people that you really want for this position, rather than having to do 5 rounds of interviews, we have a 360 profile DNA of their behavior that most personality tests is elimination process. With a behavior, what we find is that we can see what their behaviors are going to be like and see if that behavior fits with the team that they're going to be working with. Is this a constraint that you guys have the skill set to deal with, or is this a constraint that we're really not looking to add to the team? Do they fit our culture? Do they have the right soft skills, hard skills, etc.? What are the fees? I'm about to get to that in just a second. Do you help us find the potential candidates, or we must give you the potential candidates? No, we definitely source the candidates. You tell us the positions that you're trying to fill, and then we bring you a list every week of the exact people that are the most successful in your area that are already working. Who provides? Let's see. How do you determine? I think that is it for questions. Unless you guys have a few more, then I'll go ahead and wrap up and go over, How much does it cost? Let's see. Anybody else? Questions, comments? I think that's it. Let me go ahead and we have two types of programs depending on the size of your company. If you have a lot of open positions or maybe you just have a few handfuls. So we have two separate programs, and I'll go over that in detail in just a second. 1 second here. Let me move this. How much does it cost? We like to say that there is no cost, but there is an investment in your future profits. Let me quickly cover what that is. For the research and development of your totally customized recruiting system that consistently eliminates the use of job boards and costly recruiter fees for top positions, gives you the ability to find and interview the very best talent available, increases revenue by hiring people who already have industry knowledge, skills, and contacts that they bring with them. So that's a big benefit. So if you're recruiting salespeople, that's huge. Eliminates long ramp-up times and training, and avoids the cost of mishires, mitigates the risk of selecting candidates that are not a fit to the role or your culture. For the research and development of your totally customized recruiting program for 100 qualified candidates and weekly coaching over the next 4 months would be $29.95 per month and a one-time setup fee of $6,000, and we manage the entire process for you. If we can get the program started in the next 10 days, can you think of any reason why we shouldn't set it up? And then I'll also open up for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions or any comments, I've got my number and everything up on the screen. Feel free to email me, and we can go over details. So if you have a smaller program, maybe you don't have very many positions to fill, then we definitely have a different program that can help you with that as well. Anybody have any questions or anything before we wrap up? I want to thank each and every one of you to spend your Friday here with me. And I will be doing an additional one of these. If you have another part of your team that needs to see this, we'll be doing the same time next week and really going over. We'll probably dive a little bit more into detail about some of the things as far as data and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand or just type it in, and I'll try and do my best to answer them. Thank you for your time, and you guys have a wonderful weekend. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So yeah, if you guys have anything that you want to ask, feel free to give me a call. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Have a wonderful weekend, and hope to talk to each and every one of you very soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.